much, Lainey. I appreciate you moderating for us today, and I appreciate you all taking time on a Saturday morning to be with us as we get to know the Honorable Brandi Herndon-Miller. I want to let you all know that, as the mayor, the charter for Maplewood grants me the authority to nominate and appoint the municipal judge for our city. And that is a heavy responsibility. I do not take it lightly. I know that if we have a great municipal judge, then we will have good outcomes within our court. And so, I have nominated for appointment Judge Miller. Brandi, may I call you Brandi? Okay.
Everybody may call me Brandi.
Okay, thank you. I think if you are not aware, I will share with you that Brandi and I met each other about 2.5 years ago when we were both running for the Maplewood Richmond Heights School Board. We were both elected to the school board, and we've served together in that capacity until I resigned on April 16th of this year. During that time, I have worked with Brandi on creating an educational equity policy. And of course, we worked on that with our other board members as well. But just doing that work, I was able to see that Brandi is focused on wraparound services for our students, but also as a judge, she would be focused on wraparound services for people that come before her. I am focused on restorative justice. I am focused on ensuring that Maplewood is not making money off of people that are poor, people that need to have their car to go to work, but they are having difficulties with getting their driver's license back, so they may be riding on a suspended license or no license at all. They get stopped in Maplewood, they get fined, they can't afford the fine, they can't afford to come to court. All of that plays into their ability to make money in order to feed their family, house their family. So that impact, that small act, someone could look at it as a small act. Receiving a citation for driving on a suspended license actually has a ripple effect that can turn into a tsunami for someone's life. And I wanted to make sure that we had a municipal judge that was cognizant of that does not want that to happen, for our residents or visitors that come to Maplewood or have to drive through Maplewood. And so it was not difficult for me to think of people that I would want in this space. And Brandi was one of them. And I am happy that she accepted my offer of the appointment. And so what I'm going to do right now is turn it over to her. Brandi, I invite you to speak with us, let us know who you are, just really as a mom, as a person. And then I also would like for you to share with us who you are as an attorney and who you are as a judge. So please.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. So my most important role is mom to twins. I have 14-year-old twins who now attend Maplewood Richmond Heights. And they are the light of my life. I, as a person, I've grown up in Maplewood Richmond Heights. I'm in the Richmond Heights side, but we're combined in so many ways. And that I've spent my whole life here. My family is here. Some of my family was misplaced when Menards and Walmart came in, to just tell you how long we've been a long-standing part of the community. And it's an important community to me. I grew up with our doors open and getting to know your neighbors, and it was a community involved parenting. And so I really care about Maplewood and Richmond Heights. I think that they have such rich history and some great people But I've also seen the horror of not having the right people in service for that community. I will be honest with you, that I have family and friends that will not visit, that will not come to this area because they don't want to be pulled over and harassed. When I was growing up, I did not attend Maplewood Richmond Heights because my mother had attended and had had a long history of her siblings, especially male, brothers, and her brothers being pulled over, harassed. Back then, a lot of people walked to work. Something that was common of the Maplewood Police Department was to stop them on their way to work every day. I have seen, even as an attorney, people being jailed in that area for very, very minor infractions that should not result in being jailed, honestly. I've been in courtrooms there where people have been treated, in my opinion, with less than the dignity that they deserve. And so that is something near and dear to my heart. I love people. I love children. I love, we as a community have to come together and help each other. And so that's really important to me. As an attorney, and I actually have served as a judge previously in other municipalities, I think we have the awesome honor of respecting and honoring the people that come in front of us. We are charged with a very, very serious duty. And I take that seriously. So when people come in front of me, they will always be treated with dignity and respect. They will always know that I'm here to help. My job is not to judge or punish in that manner, right? It is to restore. The goal is we want people to be in a position to follow all of the laws that we have in place, but we also have to look at those laws and how do they affect the individuals that come before us? How are we applying that justice, right? Because we all know that unfortunately in certain places, people get justice differently depending on the color of their skin, depending on their sex, depending on their orientation, all these different things that unfortunately affect the type of justice that they see, and that's just not right. So that is part of why I do this work. It's important to me. It's important that I honor this profession and that every day when I go home and I kiss those babies that I mentioned, I can say, Mommy did a good job today. Would you like me to talk about the court right now? Like just yes. What a municipal judge does? Okay. So if you guys are like me, Missouri is very unique in that Missouri has 81 municipalities. It's what they call basically a fragmented court system. And a lot of states don't have that. So because they have those 81 municipalities, some people literally, as you know, you go from Maplewood to Richmond Heights to Brentwood, that could all be within a few seconds. You could potentially get a ticket in each one of those, depending on what's going on. And so that unique system has created a hardship for a lot of people, especially those who are poor, because they are often experiencing having tickets and cases open in different places. One thing I want to say is municipalities typically, their court system deals with ordinance violations, typically. And that's just the law of that particular municipality. Felonies and major crimes are dealt with at the state and sometimes federal level, but not at the municipality level. And so oftentimes, say your tags are bad, you forgot to get your tags renewed, you could potentially have a ticket in 7 different places for that same thing. Now, imagine if some of those cases are heard on the same night. Now you have court in 2 different places on the same night. How are you going to get there? How are you going to do that? So then you go to one, you don't make it to the other, it goes warrant. And now you have a warrant for your arrest because of because you didn't have proper plates. It makes no sense to me, but unfortunately that is what has been happening to families. In addition, you have families that have children and they can't just get to court at 7 p.m. Or some courts, some municipalities have court at 10 a.m. I don't know about you, but I'm at work. So, these are those decisions. Do I go to work or do I go to court? Oftentimes employers are not very understanding of those situations. And so you have a lot of people who have actual arrest warrants because they just couldn't make it, and they tried to call, couldn't get a continuance, couldn't get any help, or they're told to get a lawyer. And don't get me wrong, I am a lawyer, right? So I think it's great. Get a lawyer, get advice. But what if you can't afford one? Should you have to have a lawyer just to make sure you don't get a warrant? Just to be able to talk to someone in the court system? No, you shouldn't. So these are all things that, that kind of come along with the municipal court system and that need to be addressed. And some courts have taken the steps to address them, but some courts unfortunately have not. Maplewood has had a reputation for not being the kindest municipality. I hope that we change that. I hope that no one is scared to come to Maplewood because they know not only will you be treated well, but that's a place to go for things to be worked out. We want to help you. We want to make sure that the community is safe, but that your life is not ruined because you had to go to court. That's just not acceptable. And so I think that bringing us all together, collaborating with the community, with the mayor, with with the city council to make sure that we're all working in tandem towards the goal of restorative justice. And that's the plan. That's the point. As a judge, this is what I think I can do to help that. Now, I have to follow the law. Okay, what the law is what I have to follow. That's my charge. However, there are creative ways that we can do that. If someone is, for example, speeding, they could get community service. That is something that a lot of courts have not offered. But it's important to offer that in a court system because not everyone can afford to pay a fine. One of the things that I've talked with the mayor about exploring is having someone there who can advise defendants of what their rights are. I am not allowed to do that as a judge. So if someone comes to me and, for example, says, hey, I want to plead guilty to this speeding ticket, I can't say, you might not want to do that because you're going to take points. I can't say, do you know how many points you have on your license already before you plead? Because if you get up to 12, now you can be revoked your license can be revoked for a year. I don't get to have those conversations with people, but I can create an environment where that information is readily available to them so that they can understand it. There is a prosecuting attorney that is automatically assigned to that court. And I don't really get to choose that person. I don't employ that person. I believe the mayor does. Is that right, Nikki?
So actually, no.
Okay.
Yeah. So the way that, Nick, thank you for that question. The way that our charter is set up, the city attorney that we hire also serves as the prosecutor for our municipal courts. I will tell you that within 6 months, I am going to talk with the council about creating a charter commission, and I am going to dig heavily into the judicial part of our charter regarding our municipal court, because I'm just going to tell you, I would like to see the prosecutor separated from the city attorney. I'd like the city attorney to be able to focus solely on serving the city and advising the city and the council, and then I would like the prosecutor to focus solely on that work and not have the two intertwined. So that's what's going on right now with our charter. I do hope to address that soon, but yes, that's it. So
a lot of municipalities do have that separation. Some don't. I think that there are definitely pros to having the separation. I work with the prosecutor in certain ways. So the Supreme Court has said, hey, look, the judges and the prosecutors stay separate. So we don't collaborate as far as cases go. But what we can do is in general collaborate on community service is automatically offered. This is, we want to do partnerships with different areas in the community, depending on what someone is charged with. A good example of that is, I think that if someone comes into our court for, usually speeding or something like that as a minor, or under the, as under the age of 18, that their community service should be working with other youth. I think that is something that can be important, or showing what happens when someone is injured because of a traffic accident, because of speeding. Another example is texting while driving. Unfortunately, a lot of deadly accidents occur because of that. And so if we have someone that comes before the court with, where they're distracted driving, we want to send them to a community service where they can see that is very dangerous practice, and how many young people die from that every year. And hopefully that'll help them see, hey, you know what, I don't want to do this again. Our job isn't to punish them. We don't want, to fine them and all that. I just want them to realize that's not a safe practice. Let's not do it. So these are partnerships that we can absolutely discuss and engage in together. We don't have to keep that part separate. The separation comes in if you go before a prosecutor. You don't want the prosecutor and the judge to have already discussed your case. That's not fair to you. So that will not happen. My job, if the case comes to me, is that's the first time I'm hearing it. But outside of that, we can absolutely have all kinds of restorative practices that if someone comes directly to me, they're getting the opportunity to do, or if they're going directly to the prosecutor, they're getting the opportunity to do that as well. And it's not, hey, depending on who you go to, you get a different result.
We have a question from Gina LaRose. She wants to know, what role do you see community members playing in assisting with these reform efforts?
Is that for me or for Nikylan, or both?
Both.
Okay. You want to go first, Mayor?
I think, first, thank you for that question. I think the role that I envision for the community in assisting with this process is making sure that we remain accountable to, what we are telling you we believe in and what we want to see. And so I know that my dear friend Ann Louise court watches, and I've talked to another dear friend, Nikki Rainey, who's with us, and I've told Nikki, please don't stop the court watch. Please continue to watch what we are doing, and if we are not abiding by what we have told you we were going to do, which is restorative justice, then we need to be called out on that. Now, I will tell you, I have no jurisdiction over Brandi. Once she becomes our municipal judge, that is a separate entity within our government, just like our federal government. We have different branches, and so it will be Brandi's decision, and it will be I like how Brandi was talking when she was talking about the court. She said our court. She never said my. And so, it is ours. It's Maplewood's. And so definitely just making sure that you're watching, making sure that we're accountable, letting us know of any like nonprofit organizations that are assisting people with driving issues, or assisting folks, anything really that just touches the court. I mean, I see the issues with driving. I see the issues with housing insecurity, how that may be affecting someone, someone getting a citation for panhandling or something like that. If you know of resources that our municipal court can tap into to assist people that appear before it, please let us know. Please let Brandi know. I think that those are my ideas. What about you, Brandi?
Thank you. It is a great question. I would say two major things: two-way communication and spread the word. And so on the two-way communication front, it's not enough that I'm telling you what I want to do. I've got to hear from you guys. This is a wonderful opportunity. I don't think this has ever been done before, at least not in Maplewood. And so continuing these so that we can have those frank conversations, being able to have people, like when you're court watching, saying, hey, I noticed this, or I saw that, or, just telling us what you've observed or what you're hearing. That's another thing too. Oftentimes people are afraid to communicate directly, so it's indirect. So if you hear someone saying, hey, I was mistreated at court, then we need to know about that so that we can address what's happening, make corrections. And then the other part of that, which is spread the word. A lot of people, like I said, unfortunately, Maplewood does not have the best reputation for its court system, and that's going to take time to change. And we've got to spread the word that, hey, we've got some new practices, we've got some new people in place. Those who may have been scared to go before, go now. I promise you it'll be okay. I'll go with you, right? So that we can help, because I can't help people who don't come. So, a lot of times people who have license troubles, like Nikki mentioned, they're scared, so they don't go to court. So it just keeps piling up and getting worse. And the unfortunate part is if we don't catch it here and fix it here, they could end up with multiple convictions for the same thing that take them into felony range. So now it's in state court, and now we can't help. The restorative practices that we can implement at our lower level, they don't have access to that at the felony level like they do here. So those are things that we want to be able to help with. And I think just having that two-way communication and spreading the word can really help us.
We have a few more questions. We may have touched on this briefly, but I want to make sure that we're answering both questions from Nick. So Nick Homa asked, can we briefly explain how Maplewood City Prosecutor is selected and retained? And how does the city prosecutor select which offenses to hear and which not to?
That's a good question. I'm actually going to ask Brandi to address that, because I have no shame in telling you all something, when I don't know something. And so I do not know that. And I think Brandi has experience with that. So.
Yes. Well, not as much with the first part of that question, which is the selection process. I can tell you that for a lot of municipalities, they might do a posting that they're in need of a prosecutor. People apply. Sometimes they have a community panel that helps select. Sometimes it's just whoever's in charge of making that selection, depending on their charter. So that's the limited information I have about the selection. But
I'm sorry, Brandi. I did not know about the second part of Nick's question. Okay.
I can't answer. So here's what happens. Typically, a case is brought to a prosecutor by the Maplewood Police Department. And then the prosecutor, based on the ordinances and the facts surrounding it, decides whether or not they're going to charge that person. Usually in the speeding case, it's just a signature, right? They're just signing off on a ticket. But sometimes there are things where they actually need the background, or they need the police report to look at it and see, does this fit within our ordinance? And so they can refuse a case. It doesn't happen very often, but it does happen. Then when it comes to me, I don't have the authority to dismiss a case that the prosecutor is proceeding on unless I determine that it does not, in fact, fall under the law. And then I can entertain a motion to dismiss it, and I can dismiss it. But I don't have oversight over the prosecutor, if that makes sense. But they're supposed to follow the ordinances of Maplewood. And can I talk about one other thing too, Nikki, about that? So we have a lot of ordinances on the Maplewood books, some of which are very old. And so one of the things that I would like to do in collaboration with the city council and the mayor is bring some of those ordinances to their attention to review and potentially repeal or modify, so that we are not enforcing ordinances that don't make sense for our community anymore. Okay. And that is one of the ways that we can collaborate, again, to make sure that our community's needs are best being met. Nick, does that answer your question? Okay, good.
We have another question. This is from Lucy. I am passionate about substance abuse, mental health issues, and the unhoused, and how both are treated as crimes. I'm sorry, let me back that up. She had a two-part. The first one is, I am passionate about substance abuse, mental health issues, and how both are treated as crimes instead of medical issues. Is there any space in our municipal court for reform in these areas? And then she said, also houseless folks as well.
Okay, so what I would say is probably. The reason I answer it that way is because I have not started the job officially yet. I have not had a chance to review where the court last left off. So I don't know if they have a mental health court. Some municipalities do. Now, my understanding is that they don't, but I don't know until I get into that job. What I can tell you is that, yes, there is room for those things. Now, we are a small municipality, but we can collaborate with other municipalities and offer not necessarily mental health services, but referrals. And as a court, one of the things I can do, for example, if I suspect there's a mental health issue that needs to be addressed, we can continue that case some ways out, give them the information that they need to connect with these people, and have those people come back with them at court to talk about their progress. And so we can put the case on hold technically while we are trying to get them the help that they need. So that's one way that we do it with mental health. Even drug abuse, you know, again, I can't officially give someone treatment, right? I can't put them in treatment, but I can absolutely give them resources to seek treatment if that's what they want to do. And yes, we can look at that in how it affects their case. So, you know, there's nothing that says that everybody has to be found guilty or everybody has to be fined. There are so many ways that we can work through a case that don't just include some type of punishment. And so that would always be our goal, is to say, okay, what is the underlying problem here? And how do we address it? How do we help this person resolve it? And then how do we resolve this case in a way that honors what they've done?
I think that also, Lucy, that your question also goes to our focus in conversations that Brandi and I have had about wraparound services. You know, honestly, I know that we know doctors have an oath, you know, to do no harm. That's how I feel about court. You know, it's like, do no harm if possible. It is supposed to be about rehabilitation, right? And so that's what our focus is on. That's what I've had conversations with Brandi about, like, months. We talked about this ad nauseum for months. I would tell her, now look, this is what we're talking about. And she's like, yes, this is what we're talking about. You know, wraparound services, helping folks. So to that end, you know, I think what Brandi can do as our municipal judge is to focus on helping, right, and to do no harm. But then what, I believe that I can do, and along with the council, is to collaborate with Brandi, to collaborate with our municipal courts. I am working on a proposal to submit to council that would be the creation of a human services commission. And Lucy, like what you have talked about in your question, mental health, substance abuse, the unhoused, like this Human Services Commission would work together with different people throughout the St. Louis County and Maplewood to make sure that we have systems in place. So Brandi could say, okay, this person is in need of mental health assistance, and could actually, contact the Maplewood Human Services Commission to see, okay, what assistance can you give to this person? What is readily available? So Brandi does not have to do that on her own. That collaboration is coming into effect with council as well. Thank you for that great question.
We do not have any additional questions. So I'm going to ask one. Can we talk a little bit about some of the vision that you both have for increasing access to our courts and making sure that they are more inclusive? You know, talk about it a little bit. You know, if somebody has a court date and they can't find childcare, what policies can we put into place to make sure we're not putting them in a position where they're gonna, you know, miss their court date and end up in a situation?
Absolutely. I already actually have an appointment set up with the clerk so that we can get started on this process. And one of the first things I've asked for is I want to know what cases are in warrant status. My intention is to recall all warrants that currently exist for Maplewood so we can have a fresh start. The next step is to go through these cases, and cases that are over 2 years old that are non-violent, non-dangerous. And what I mean by that is we don't typically have violent cases, but we might have misdemeanor assaults. We might have DWIs, things of that nature. I don't want those immediately dismissed. I want those addressed though. But if your speeding ticket is over 2 years old, it just needs to go. Let's just start over. And so that is the current plan with regard to that. In addition, if someone gets a ticket and they cannot appear on the first court date, they need to be given the ability to have an automatic continuance without having to appear and without having to speak to me. So that is one of the things that we will also put in place. I intend to have more access to me so that it's easier to call in and address issues that someone might have. I can't get childcare today. I can't do this. I'd like to explore having staggering courts so that not every day is not every Monday, because we usually have court on Monday, is at the same time. I really like Zoom. I think it's made it easier for a lot of people. Now, I am bound by the Supreme Court rules. So when they say we have to be in person, then I don't have a choice over that. But I would like to explore some type of continuing Zoom process for those who cannot get to court. We've got a lot of people that can be homeless. How are you worried about court and you're homeless? It doesn't make sense to me. So if someone's calling in and saying, I'm homeless, I can't get to court, then we need to be focused on, hey, let's get you in touch with someone so you can have housing. I want that brought to my attention. I want their case continued to give them time to do that. So things like that we can put in place right away to address those needs. Then we will start to go through the remaining cases specifically. How is this case? How can we help in this particular case? What can we do in this case? Has this case been ignored? Has this person been forgotten? Oftentimes, people are ordered to pay quite a bit in fines and not given a payment plan. So it will be automatic on any case. You will be entitled to have a payment plan. Alternative community service, I hope, will be increased, double the usage of it in the court system, because everyone should be offered that opportunity as well. And it should be easier to tell the court your financial circumstances and that you need that type of help. So these are things that we're going to implement from day one.
We have another question. A couple of comments. Nikki Rainey did comment that Court Watch has seen cases that are 5 and even 10 years old. Nick Homa also had another question, and this is a great one. As the highest authority in the city court system, what role does the judge play, if any, in police reform in Maplewood?
Thank you for that question. I don't play a role in police reform. However, when a case comes in front of me, I am looking at everyone. I'm looking at the individuals, the officer that brought that case, the behavior of everyone. I think the word will get out quickly that I expect citizens, non-citizens of this area, whoever, people, to be treated a certain way. And if I start hearing that, especially when it comes to certain people, they're not being treated that way, that's an issue for me, and that will be made known. I respect and honor everyone. So I want everyone to be treated well. Our officers, our staff, citizens, everyone. And I expect that. That's non-negotiable to me. So, I respect what our officers do in keeping our community safe, but they also need to be reminded that, hey, these people they're human beings and they deserve respect as well. And it's not us against them. This mentality has to change. It has to be, we're servicing people. My job is to serve this community. That's what I'm being placed in that position for. And so, I can't be sensitive. There will be people that don't like the judge just because they're the judge. And I'm sure they'll yell at me, and, it's not always a friendly thing. It's not always a thankful job, but I can't be sensitive to that. I still have to do what I know is right, regardless, because that's what I'm charged with. And I expect that from everyone who serves our community. And so that's going to be very important to communicate that, hey, when you're bringing cases, and I know that Maplewood has to deal with a lot of what happens at Walmart. And, I think that one of the things that we have to look at is, how are we bringing people in here? One, I think we need to use a summons more often than we do an actual arrest. So that's one of the things that I'll be looking into. If you look at a lot of police shootings, unfortunately, it is a very minor offense that there's an attempt to make an arrest on. Imagine what it would be like if it's, here's your court date, we'll see you then. Okay. And so I think that's safer for the police. I think that's safer for our citizens. Why is that not being utilized more frequently? So again, once I get into this position, I can look at how often are we issuing these summons, and why or why not? And how often are we having to require police interaction when it's not necessary? So those are the things that I will be looking into and seeing what we can do to address them. But I don't personally have any oversight over the police.
There's another comment from Nikki Rainey. We have seen the judge provide evidence/police reports to officers when they have forgotten to bring their notes. And this will be a question from me, because I am not familiar with, all of the things a judge can do in that setting, but is that appropriate?
No. No.
So I love Nikki for answering it that way. The way that I interpret my position is that I am neutral. I do not assist either the defense or the prosecution. That is not my job. My job is to hear the evidence that is presented, and to rule on that. So I will not be assisting anyone in doing their job, as that is not my job.
That and I'm, forgive me, Brandi, that's not an interpretation. That is how it is supposed to be. The judge is not supposed to serve as the prosecutor as well. There should be no assistance being given to any party regarding the presentation of their case. The judge is there to hear it and to make a determination, and that's it. That's all. So that's improper. I have no problem saying that, and I say that as an administrative judge, that is improper. So very happy that will not be happening with Brandi. Wow. Also, I also wanted to say, Nikki Rainey, the comment you made about Court Watch has seen cases that are 5 and even 10 years old, that is oppressive. That is oppressive. I know. I do feel very passionate about this, y'all. And it's because I have experience in litigation. I have experience in criminal defense. And so to hear this, someone has a case sitting before a municipality for 5 to 10 years, like, it's just oppressive, and it's not necessary. And we don't need to do that to people. We don't need to have that hanging over their head. It's become a part of their life. And I don't think that a citation should become a part of someone's life.
I agree with you, Nikki. Now, there is one thing I will say, and I'm probably busting out colleagues, but hey, I know sometimes that is a defense attorney that is kicking it down the road forever too. And I think that it is important to expect from everyone, prosecutor, defense, doesn't matter. Hey, these cases need to be resolved and brought to conclusion in a reasonable amount of time. Yes, some may take a little longer than others. And as a courtesy, especially if it's a situation of, like we talked about, sometimes people have a driving law suspended or revoked, and they have it in several municipalities. And the way that the DMV works, you have to get all of those resolved before you can get your license back. So and sometimes, especially prior to the Ferguson Commission report, it was based on how much money you were paying to those municipalities to resolve those tickets. So people would have fines in each one of those places for 500, 600, 700, and they had to pay it in full before they could get compliance. One, that's not going to be our court. If you request a compliance, you will get one. Okay. We're not holding it hostage based on payment. That is not how this court will work. And so, but I can't reach out and make other courts do something different. So if you need more time because you're trying to get reinstated because of those other courts so that you can bring a valid license to our court to get an amended charge, I will give time to do that. And so that's going to be that balance. But one of the things I've also proposed is there are courts right now that are in collaboration with attorneys who help defendants get their license back. So I would like to bring those into our court system so that we can also collaborate, so that it's not just, hey, figure out how to get through these 10 different courts. Good luck. See you in a couple months. And I can say, this is someone you can go to who can truly help you and guide you on getting your license back in a fairly efficient manner, right? And so let's do that so that I know I'm not just sending them out. They're actually going to come back with progress.
I don't see any more questions coming through. Is there anything else top of mind that we wanted to cover?
I actually have a question for Brandi. Brandi, you mentioned the Ferguson Commission, and in the Ferguson Commission report, they do discuss how municipalities will have a judge who also serves as a prosecutor in another municipality, and then in even another municipality they serve as a criminal defense attorney. And so there is no like defined separation throughout the municipality court system, and how that has caused some appearance of impropriety, some conflicts. And so I know that, you are a provisional municipal judge in other municipalities. You used to do more criminal defense work than I think you do now. I think you do more family law now. And then you also serve as a prosecutor for a municipality. So the Ferguson report is really speaking to you, right? So can you talk to us about that? Because although the Ferguson report is talking, in generalities, I think there's something to be said about you being an African-American woman who is a prosecutor and your life experiences. But I'm not going to speak for you. Talk to us.
Thank you for that question. So I have read the Ferguson report in its entirety, and it does talk about a lot of potential conflicts, and that is one of them. One of the things that the Ferguson Commission found was that out of those 81 municipalities that I mentioned, 25% of them had a prosecutor from the same firm, who was also the judge, or there was a judge from the same firm. And so, a lot of times if you went to a particular municipality, you continue to see the same judge over and over, or the same prosecutor over and over, who didn't like you, remembered, whatever. And it created this problem. And I do think that is a conflict. And I think that when you've been treated improperly in one court and now you're back in another court and you see the same person, that's scary, and that's a problem. But I don't think that in general saying that, hey, no one can be a prosecutor and a defense attorney, or a prosecutor and a judge, I don't think that's the answer, and I'll tell you why. So I am the prosecutor in Pasadena Park. It's a very, very, very small, okay? And they cannot afford to pay very much to anyone. And so what happens is oftentimes, because they can't afford to pay much, the quality of the candidates that apply for those positions can be low as well. And we don't want that. So a lot of us do have other jobs. It's what allows us to be able to do this work. But I give everyone the same respect, no matter what position I play. And because I play multiple positions, I understand every side of it. So I understand what it's like to help someone get their license back. I understand what it's like for someone to be accused of a crime just on someone's word. I understand what it's like to try to help them get help in a system that's set up not to help, right? And so that's important from a defense perspective. I also understand the law and the enforcement of the law. I have to understand that as a prosecutor. But as a prosecutor, I also can say, you know what, when someone comes to me and they tell me what problem they have, well, I'm going to dismiss this charge. I have the ability to do that. A judge can't do that. A defense attorney can't do that. So that is an awesome opportunity when you see all these sides of it to help. And you want people in that position who get it, who believe in restorative practices. So if we eliminate everyone from those positions who does believe in restorative practices, now we have people coming in. And like I said, the judge can only do so much, right? So if the prosecutor is insisting on having a trial and prosecuting this person to the fullest and not trying to help this person or give this person time to get things together, then what happens is, like you said, that person's life is destroyed over what? And so we don't want that. We want them to be able to work together. We want the court to believe in restorative practices, the defense attorneys to believe in it, and the prosecuting attorneys to believe in it. That's so important. If one of those is missing, you know how it works. It's broken because we all have to work in tandem. So that's really, really important. In addition to that, I think that one of the things that they also talked about was how there are judges who were practicing in the area they actually were judges in. There were prosecutors practicing in the area they were prosecutors in. I agree 110% that that is just inappropriate and it shouldn't happen. I would not have any cases in Maplewood. I would not be allowing myself to be hired on any cases in Maplewood or anyone that works with me. So that would not be an issue. That is just, it's an inappropriate, period. There's no way around that. Same thing for a prosecutor. That's not okay. But I do think you want someone who's done defense work, done prosecution work, to be able to work in a municipality, in different municipalities with a different role in each one. I think that is very important. And especially as a Black woman, there are things that I've experienced and that I've seen and that I've dealt with as a Black woman that I get to bring to the table. Unfortunately, there are not a lot of Black female prosecutors. There are not a lot of Black female municipal court judges. You know, that is a perspective that I bring to the court. And you don't want what happens oftentimes when we say, okay, we're going to eliminate the ability of these people to work in multiple municipalities, then it's only the large firms that can afford to do so. And that's how you create that environment of 25% are run by, because that's their business now, is the municipalities, versus this is a job that fits. This is my community that I'm already a part of, that I understand and have a relationship with. And that's why I want to work there. Now you're eliminating that, and it's only the people that are doing that for the money.
We have another question from Gina LaRose. Can you both talk more about collaborating and even consolidating court/public safety services across our region?
Brandi, if you don't mind, I'd like to speak to that first. So, Gina, thank you for that question. It is timely, because on yesterday I was actually talking with our acting city manager, Anthony Traxler, and he had mentioned the idea of consolidating our court system with Richmond Heights, and I emphatically said no, and here's the reason why. Maplewood has different values from Richmond Heights, and I want to make sure that the values that our community has is seen in our municipal court. And so if it's just going to be a consolidation of two municipalities, that's not enough for me. Now, if Gina, if you're talking about what I have seen in Nashville, Tennessee, because that's where I'm from. In Nashville, they had separate government. They had city government, and then they had municipalities. And in, I want to say, like mid 1960s, they forced those municipalities in the city of Nashville to come together. So they serve as a metropolitan area. If we were to see something like that, if other municipalities were talking about doing that, which we've seen that, it doesn't go over well in the St. Louis region. Excuse me, but if we were talking about something like that, I could have that conversation. But with consolidating our municipalities and not being able to know who are we going to put in this space, I wouldn't want to do anything like that. Honestly, I think what Maplewood is about to do with our municipality, with the work that is coming before us, we are honestly this is groundbreaking work. I don't see any other municipality, with all due respect, because I'm not trying to be negative on any other municipality. I'm just for Maplewood. So I don't see any other municipality having conversations like this. I don't see any other municipality being purposeful in their appointments of people, and knowing that the focus is to restore justice, to do no harm, to assist, to uplift. I just don't see those conversations happening. And so because of that, I wouldn't want to consolidate at that time, because I don't want what we are striving for and the future that we are looking towards to be lost.
And of course, I have no say so in whether or not that happens, but I can give you some pros and cons. One, so I still know my DARE officer that dates me a little bit, but I do. He was in the neighborhood, in the community. I have seen him at least once a month since I was a little girl. And that's important. So having a relationship with the police department and the area is important. Having a relationship with the judge in the area is important. I have to see everyone that's going to come in front of me. I'm going to see him at some point at the grocery store, so I think that's important, because it makes you think about, what am I doing? How am I treating these people? That's important. And so I believe in keeping things small sometimes. There are definitely benefits to joining, et cetera. But I think that right now, being able to do this, to have this format, if it were a larger community, it gets harder. The bigger it gets, the harder it gets, right? And so being able to do that, to be held accountable for what we're saying we want to do, that gets harder too when you've got multiple municipalities that you're dealing with. People tend to get lost in the shuffle. And so I do think that, especially as of right now, the changes that we're making in Maplewood, the opportunity that we have to overhaul Maplewood in a positive way, based on what the community has said that they want, I think that's an awesome, awesome opportunity that a lot of municipalities do not have at this time.
So I don't think we have any more questions. We have a couple of really fantastic comments. Awesome work and vision for Maplewood. Thank you both for holding this session. It's been excellent. Very excited for our Black female leadership as both mayor and judge. Another one, we are in good hands with both of you. I'm so appreciative of your vision and the way you're approaching this work. Thank you.
Thank you all. Really, thank you all. I really appreciate the time that you all give to us, and that you give to our community, because being a part of conversations like this, Zoom meetings or meet and greets like this, you are still gathering information to share with others throughout the community. And I really just can't say thank you enough. So thank you for caring. Thank you for, just being here.
Yes, thank you. Well, this does not work without you guys. It just doesn't. And knowing that you have the community behind you, I can't tell you how much that means. Because it's when you're making changes, you're going to ruffle feathers, right? Which is good. I'm not scared to do that, but I'll tell you, I feel way more empowered knowing that the community is behind me and doing this work.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly. All right. Yay. I love the comments. Thanks, y'all. So, Tuesday, April 27th, I will be sworn in as your next mayor. And then not long after that, I will swear in Brandi. I have submitted, I just want to let you all know, I have submitted Brandi's name and her resume to the other council members, because as our charter directs, I am responsible for nominating and appointing. However, I do need the consent of majority of the council. So just want to let you all know I have already done that. I am all about communication with everyone, especially my soon-to-be team, that is the council. And so they are aware. And I believe, Brandi, you've had an opportunity to talk with at least one council member so far. Is that correct?
Correct. I've talked with one. I've reached out to all. I'm sure they're super busy right now, but
yes,
I've reached out to everyone. Just if anyone has questions, let me know.
Yes, and that goes for you all as well. I remember Brandi and I, we had a conversation about that, and I think you've already touched on that, but I just want to say again, once Brandi is our municipal judge, if you have questions for her, please ask her. And of course that goes for you.
Not if you have a case, though.
That's true.
Not ask me about an active case.
Good caveat.
Happy to answer any other questions.
Good caveat. That is called ex parte communication, and we do not want that. But if you have some other questions, please feel free to reach out to her, reach out to me. And also, I would like for y'all to know, Brandi is a mock trial coach for the North Technical High School in Florissant, Missouri. And so I have to brag on her a little bit. She actually had me join her this week, and it was a lot of fun. But I tell you all that to say, if you want to reach out to her to see if she'll talk with your babies about, being a judge and being an attorney, you should let her know. And then, of course, I can't offer her up like that and not offer myself up as well. So I am here. And last thing I want to share with you all, we will have internship programs. And so I am going to have an internship program for students that are in high school, in college, and Brandi has talked with me about, having that as well. And so once we get that formalized and, set, then we will share that information. So, but please share the word now that is coming, and we would love to have interns learning about local government, learning about our local courts. I think when they can learn about, how our systems work, they can get in there and make them better. Or just
Can I add one more thing to that too? What I found is that I didn't enter a courtroom for the first time until I was actually an attorney. And it was scary for me. So imagine how scary it is for everyone else. I don't think that the first time you see your mayor, your judge, your whoever should be necessarily in a situation where you're scared. So we want to have an open door policy. If anyone wants to come and view, of course, we have COVID protocols, so don't get me wrong, but, to view, or please encourage more people to do court watch, and then maybe our youth to ask questions afterwards. Why did you do this? What's this process? Anyone that's interested in going to law school or being a paralegal, or just wants to know how local government matters. I hear often that people aren't sure about why their vote in local government matters. And this is why, right? So we want to be able to show them all of these things. Anyone that's interested, it's an open door policy.
We did have one more question. This is from the Schmitz. They want to know, is swearing in open for anyone to attend?
Great question. Yes, it is. The swearing in ceremony is open for anyone to attend. We will follow COVID COVID-19 safety protocols. So of course, bring your face mask, but we are going to have the swearing in ceremony outside. So people will be able to distance. So yes, please come. We made history, y'all. So please come and watch history, get sworn in and take full effect. So yes, please. I would love to see y'all there.
I think that's it. So we're going to post a recording of this on Nikylan.com. We'll also post it on social media channels. I've got a request for everyone. Those of you who are joining us today, you're doing so because you are able to make that time. That is a privilege that we all have, that we can set aside this time and talk in the middle of the day on a Saturday. As you speak with other community members, please help spread the word about what you heard today. It is so important to be able to reach people who may not be able to have this time to set aside and join us, or may not have the technology to go on and listen to the Zoom. So if each person who attended today can just chat with your neighbors about this, I think that will really help spread the word on all of the really groundbreaking, wonderful visions that that our new fantastic leaders have for us.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone, and to the two community members, Lucy and Miss Pam. I have your contact number. I will be in contact with you soon. Hopefully, I'm able to get that Human Services Commission through with the support of council. And then Ms. Pam, I know you said you want to volunteer. I actually have an opportunity. Ms. Pam, if you are available on May 8th, that's a Saturday, I am hosting a Mayors for St. Louis Food Bank, and I am collecting food donations for the St. Louis Food Bank to distribute throughout the St. Louis region. I'm doing that on Saturday. I will be in the parking lot of the Maplewood Aquatic Family Center with these huge barrels. So if you want to come out and really just sit with me and talk to other neighbors as they give us donations, that would be wonderful. So that invitation is for anyone and everyone. But Miss Pam, I will reach out to you directly because I have your phone number to talk more about that with you. So thank y'all so much. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for all of your time. I mean, we did well. We were on here for like an hour. So yay, y'all. All right, I think it stopped raining. I hope it did. I'm looking, it looks like it did. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your day and weekend. Thank you. Hope to see you Tuesday.